So as part of the networking opportunity that the House of the Nobleman afforded to me, I met an artist called Alexa Sol Gray, who ran a number of heritage-based art curator shows. One of these shows was in Perrott's Folly. Perrott's Folly is a spectacular 18th century folly tower sat in the middle of Birmingham. It was built in 1758 and is a Grade 2 star listed building and actually sits on the English Heritage at-risk register. I showed here as an artist with a collective of artists that were doing shows in heritage buildings. As part of that show, we all contributed to the invigilation of the show as it was self-funded. And it's at that point where we met local community members. And I distinctly remember one of them coming up to us and saying, "This is brilliant. We really want to see more activities happening in this building. We really value art and we need it." And it was the first time in a really long time I'd heard somebody speak so passionately about art, but that wasn't from the arts sector. So this led to a dialogue with the owners of the building, in which I very tentatively requested to do a series of community engagement projects, which they agreed to, which I was very fortunate to do. With some of the original members of the collective, we decided to plan a big draw event. So the big draw is a national drawing activity that happens once a year nationally. And this is actually where I submitted what I would consider to be the first funding application or the first request for funds, which was essentially to the building owners at the time to request that they released £500 to purchase equipment and materials for that activity. I think it's really easy to underestimate the importance of creating networks and partnerships. All the funding, all the activities that we delivered at this building, 50% of them happening was all to do with one member of staff within the organisation that owned the building. It was through him supporting our activities. He would review funding applications for us and encourage us to apply to different funders, trust funders or lottery funders. And that gave us, at that time, which then evolved to me, the confidence to understand what is it that a funder is looking for when you're asking them for money. How do you describe that in a document? And what can you do around the application to give yourself the best chance of success? So funding applications, or physically writing the application, I would say constitutes maybe between 10 and 20% of the work involved in putting in a funding bid. When a fund is looking at your application, they want to know that you're a safe pair of hands. So in terms of activities that take place around a funding application, there's partnership development. So are you being supported within your application by a trusted organisation that's got lots of experience and has previously received funding, so they understand how a project needs to be managed? Have you got any in-kind support? So by this could be free use of a building, which we had in the way of being able to use Perrott's Folly without cost. It may be that you've had a donation of materials from a local community member. It could be simply the volunteering across a project that actually has a value